The story unfolds in a small town in Lawrence. One noon, a sudden thud echoes as an old man falls to his living room floor. It takes 2 hours before a neighbor finds him and drives him to the hospital. There, the doctors tell him that almost every part of his body is worn out. The fall was due to a pelvic issue, his vision impaired by diabetes, his lungs damaged from smoking, and his digestive system troubled by poor diet. The consequences could be severe without treatment. Yet Alvin neither plans for surgery nor wants to use a walker, and he even refuses an X-ray. His financial constraints are a concern, but more so at his age, the length of life doesn't seem to matter as much. His daughter Rose anxiously asks about the results from the hospital visit. Alvin, feigning ease, jokes, "The doctor says I'll live to be 100, prompting a resigned smile from Rose. Stubbornly, Alvin grabs his 2 canes and shuffles to the yard to mow the grass. However, his mower, long neglected and broken, refuses to start. Frustrated, Alvin strikes the useless mower with his cane as if to chastise his own aging, failing body. He pulls out tools to fix the old machine while Rose paints a homemade birdhouse nearby. Before he can fix the mower, dark clouds gather overhead, foreshadowing a storm. By evening, as thunder rumbles, a phone ring interrupts the quiet house. Rose rushes to answer it. From her stumbling words, Alvin hears a familiar name. He remains calm, staring out at the rain, but a sense of dread builds inside him. Sure enough, the call is about his brother Lyle having a stroke. Alvin sits in silence, his emotions tumultuous. He and Lyle had argued and not spoken for over a decade, and now news of Lyle comes with his stroke. Alvin knows well at their age the next news could very well be of Lyle's death. He sits quietly, his eyes slowly reddening. The next morning, Alvin goes about his usual gardening, but a wild idea begins to form in his mind. That night, he solemnly tells Rose, "I'm going to see Lyle." He hasn't figured out how yet, but he knows he must make the journey. Concerned for her father's safety, Rose lists numerous reasons why he shouldn't go. First, his poor vision means he can't drive. Second, Uncle Lyle lives over 500 kilometers away in Wisconsin, with no direct bus route, making the journey long and complicated. Third, your back is in poor condition, making it hard for you to stand even for 2 minutes. Lastly, and most importantly, I can't drive and you're already 73 years old. But her arguments couldn't sway her stubborn father. Alvin then begins meticulous preparations for his journey. He repairs the old lawnmower, attaching a wooden trailer to its back. He has Rose buy plenty of smoked sausages for the trip's provisions and visits an old friend to purchase necessary fuel and tools. Watching Alvin's unusual determination, his old friends suspect he's planning something significant. As the sun rises again, casting its light across the land, Alvin puts on his hat and slowly sets off on his old lawnmower. His friends gathered around urge him to reconsider, doubting the mower could even make it out of town. Yet the stubborn man ignores their concerns and silently continues on his way. Passing a house, Alvin cheerfully waves at the residents. He doesn't mind their curious stares or the slow pace of his lawnmower. He leisurely pulls out some food and savors it, knowing no matter how long it takes he will reach his destination. 5 miles out, a speeding truck passes by, blowing off his hat with its draft. Alvin stops and, using his canes, painfully retrieves his hat. But when he tries to restart the mower, it refuses to ignite. The old companion, having served him for years, finally declares its retirement at this moment. His initial voyage ends in failure not far from home. Alvin, somewhat disheartened, catches a passing bus back to town. Once there, he arranges for a truck to tow the lawnmower home. Back home, Alvin, frustrated, retrieves a gun and shoots the troublesome mower. Then, with his remaining savings, he buys a second-hand 1966 lawnmower from the market. As he sets out again, encountering speeding trucks, Alvin makes sure his hat is securely fastened. At dusk, Alvin stops and builds a campfire, spending his first night outdoors next to the comforting flames. The next morning, he continues his slow journey. Along the road, a blonde girl tries to hitch a ride, but the passing cars ignore her. Alvin kindly waves at the girl, indicating his slow-moving lawnmower, but she chooses not to join him. As the sun sets and night falls, Alvin lights another campfire for warmth. The girl from earlier cautiously approaches the fire, disappointed at not catching a ride. Alvin doesn't say much, just asks if she's hungry and generously shares his sausages with her. Mimicking Alvin, the girl skewers a sausage on a stick and roasts it over the fire. They chat sporadically, and during the conversation, Alvin learns that she left home 5 months ago because she was pregnant and feared her family's anger. She hasn't told anyone about her pregnancy. Alvin reflects for a moment and then says, even if they get angry, they probably wouldn't want to lose you. A warm home and a bed are much better than eating hot dogs with a greasy old man on a lawnmower. He then shares a bit about his own daughter. Many people say my daughter Rose is slow-witted, but I don't think so. Rose keeps the house impeccably and is a good mother. She once had 4 children, and tragically, one time when someone else was watching them, an accident caused a fire that severely injured her second son. Though it wasn't Rose's fault, the state still took her children away, citing her unsuitability to care for them. This poor mother thinks of her children every day, staring out the window at other kids playing soccer, lost in thought. Family bound by love can overcome any difficulty. With these words, the wise old man tries to comfort the young woman at a crossroads in her life. After their talk, kind-hearted Alvin invites the girl to rest inside the trailer while he sleeps on a chair. However, inspired by Alvin's words, the girl insists on sleeping outside. She says she needs to look at the stars and think about her relationship with her family. The next morning, as dawn barely breaks, Alvin wakes to find the girl gone, leaving behind neatly gathered firewood. A smile of relief appears on Alvin's face, realizing the girl has made the right decision. He then resumes his journey, leaving this interlude behind. After some time, the sky suddenly fills with dark clouds and a fierce wind picks up, signaling an impending storm. Alvin wonders if his old bones can handle a downpour without falling ill. Fortunately, not far ahead, there's an abandoned building on a small hill. Urgently, Alvin steers his old lawnmower up the slope using all his strength to reach shelter before the storm hits. After the rain, the sky clears, revealing vast fields of mature corn under a golden flowing sky. In the afternoon, as usual, Alvin continues his journey. Suddenly, a group of young cyclists speeds past him. They are dressed in professional gear, vibrant and energetic, their bicycles gliding effortlessly past Alvin's slow-moving lawnmower. Alvin pulls over to not hinder their ride and greets the young cyclists, cheering them on wholeheartedly. Despite his age, his spirit remains young, though he envies their youth and vitality. Once he was just as spirited and lively, but now he faces the twilight years of his life. As the sun begins to set, Alvin finally reaches the campsite where the cyclists have settled. After bidding farewell to the young group, he continues on his journey. On a gloomy, rainy day, Alvin passes through a small town. Along the road, large cars and trucks zoom past his modest lawnmower. Compared to these giants, his vehicle feels minuscule. Alvin, somewhat overwhelmed, frequently turns his head to watch the cars go by, a look of loneliness and helplessness briefly crossing his face. On this sparsely traveled road, a car speeds by, honking impatiently, reflecting the driver's mood. Alvin stops abruptly when the car hits a deer wandering on the road. He approaches the female driver, who is near breakdown, to see if she needs help. She starts talking to herself in distress, sobbing about how she's accidentally killed 13 deer over the past 7 weeks on her daily 40-kilometer commute to work. Overwhelmed by life, she can hardly breathe. Alvin, unable to offer any comfort, tears up and heavily pats the car door before she drives away, leaving him reflective. That evening, Alvin's dinner isn't the usual sausage. He takes the antlers from the deer as a souvenir and grills the venison over the fire, making the most out of the unfortunate situation. However, the sight of the remaining deer carcass by the fire makes his meal somewhat unsettling. Continuing his journey as usual, Alvin slowly drives the lawnmower on the highway. Suddenly, his brakes fail while descending a hill, causing the lawnmower to shake violently and rush downhill. The heavy trailer makes it impossible to stop. Thus, the old lawnmower reaches the fastest speed it has ever gone in its lifetime. All Alvin can do is grip the steering wheel tightly, leaving the rest to fate. Fortunately, the engine fails just as he reaches a level stretch and the vehicle comes to a stop on its own. After the ordeal, a shaken Alvin catches his breath and wipes the cold sweat from his face. Kind strangers help push the broken-down mower to the side of the road. A middle-aged man with years of auto repair experience takes a quick look at the mower. Not only is the engine belt broken, but the engine itself has also stopped working. This means Alvin must repair the mower before continuing. During the conversation, when he mentions his intent to drive over 500 kilometers on the mower to visit a brother he hasn't seen in years, everyone is shocked by his audacious plan. Moved by his story, the middle-aged man kindly offers, "While you're fixing your mower, you can stay in my backyard." Alvin gratefully accepts. The next day, Alvin, with a worried expression, pulls out his wallet, which contains only a few crumpled bills. He knows the mower repairs will be costly, and he doesn't have enough money. He borrows a phone to call his daughter Rose to let her know he's safe and also asks her to mail his social security check. After the call, he quietly places the phone back by the door, leaving a few dollars he had as a token of gratitude. Touched by Alvin's gentlemanly demeanor, the man finds him sitting in the backyard and kindly offers to drive him to Wisconsin. He points out that at Alvin's age, traveling by lawnmower is far too strenuous. Driving would only take half a day, and the road ahead gets steeper, where even a minor accident could be fatal. He also notes that repairing the old lawnmower would cost at least $250, a significant sum for Alvin. However, the stubborn and determined Alvin declines the offer, insisting on completing the journey his way. He is attempting to reconcile with his past and regain family ties in his own unique manner. Learning that Alvin is a World War II veteran, a neighbor who also served in the war invites him for a drink at the bar. Although Alvin has given up alcohol, he accepts the invitation and they start chatting over drinks. Alvin had turned to alcohol to forget the horrors of war upon returning home, which often led to trouble. He managed to quit drinking with the help of a pastor. Moved by Alvin's story, the neighbor relates. Those who've been through war often want to forget certain things, and drinking seems like the best escape. With a tremble of his lips and a sip of his drink, the old man recalls his own past as a logistician during the war, surviving tough days without food, and just when he was about to be promoted to quartermaster to make hot coffee for his comrades, an enemy plane suddenly flew overhead and dropped an incendiary bomb on the cookhouse, killing all his comrades instantly. As he shares this, the man trembles uncontrollably, struggling to hold back tears. The longer they live, the clearer the young faces of their comrades appear in their memories. Many other memories haunt them too. The insignias of the Nazi German army, the faces of the enemy soldiers they killed. Triggered by this sad recounting, Alvin slowly shares a long-buried secret of his own. During the war, he was a sniper. There was a young, excellent scout in their squad whose information often saved them from close calls. Once, while his comrades cooked in the woods and he covered them as a sniper, he saw something moving slowly in the distance and shot to protect his comrades. The next day, they found the body of Kurtz, a comrade, shot in the head. Everyone thought it was the work of a German sniper, but the guilt of possibly having caused his death haunted Alvin for most of his life. Both men, sharing similar painful pasts, sit quietly in the bar, unable to calm their stirred emotions. Some things in life are irreconcilable, filled with pain upon recall yet forever present. Perhaps time can ease some of the pain, but the experiences they endured can never be erased. The next day, a pair of twin brothers come to fix Alvin's lawnmower. As they work, they bicker continuously, neither willing to yield to the other. Reminded of his own relationship with his brother, Alvin watches them with interest and before leaving advises them, "No one understands you better than a sibling your own age. I've traveled from Lawrence on a lawnmower all the way to Wisconsin just to see my sick brother. We stopped talking over a simple argument more than a decade ago, and this journey is my way of trying to correct that mistake. I hope you both can cherish each other, as you are brothers." That evening, as the man and Alvin sit in the yard saying their farewells, Alvin slowly stands up and takes off his hat. He sincerely thanks the kind man for all his help during this time. They shake hands, grateful for their encounter, and promise to keep in touch through letters. The next day, as dawn breaks showing the first light, Alvin resumes his journey. After some time, he finally arrives near the Mississippi River, close to his brother's place. That evening, he plans to rest by a campfire in a cemetery, where a kind pastor brings him food. During their conversation, Alvin mentions visiting his brother Lyle, who had a stroke. The pastor had seen Lyle recently, but was unaware Lyle had a brother. The firelight flickers across Alvin's face as he recalls his childhood with Lyle. "We were inseparable as kids, racing horses, betting, playing games after chores. On clear summer nights, we'd sleep in the backyard and talk about the stars, growing up together through countless casual conversations. Perhaps it was pride or alcohol that drove us apart after a big fight. But on this journey, I've let go of the pride and stubbornness of youth, hoping just to sit quietly with my brother and make amends." As he nears his brother's home, Alvin feels an increasing sense of homesickness. He stops his lawnmower and walks into a small tavern, his expression a mix of anticipation and excitement. After a deep breath, the long-sober Alvin orders a chilled beer, perhaps needing the liquid courage to face his brother. After finishing his drink, he continues on, now very close to Lyle's home. Alvin has never felt so anxious. He drives slowly along a forest path, tears nearly forming in his eyes even before seeing Lyle. Just as he is about to arrive, the lawnmower's engine overheats and dies. At a loss, Alvin sits by the roadside until a passing tractor driver suggests restarting it, which surprisingly works immediately. After this minor setback, Alvin continues. As he drives into a dusty country lane, a small wooden house framed by ginkgo and red maple trees comes into view. Looking at the dilapidated house, he grows increasingly worried about his brother's health. He steps off the lawnmower, pulls out his canes, and shakily walks to the front of the house, calling out his brother's name. A tumult of emotion swirls within him as Alvin's voice grows fainter, calling out a second time with no response, his heartbeat quickening. He doesn't know if his brother is well, or even if he's willing to reconcile. "Alvin!" Then a familiar voice responds, it's his brother's, bringing Alvin immense relief. The door opens and his brother, leaning on a walker, slowly steps out. Alvin, supporting himself with his canes, hurriedly moves towards him. The two stand before the door, incredulously examining each other for a long time. When their eyes meet again, both are brimming with tears. Lyle glances at his brother, then at the old lawnmower, feeling an indescribable mix of emotions. The two stubborn yet gentle old men can no longer hold back their tears. Without needing words, they've reconciled with their past. Together, they look up at the sky, the same stars they once gazed upon as children, full of anticipation and wonder. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this.